Go. Welcome to the Church of Mabus radio show. It's Friday night, and you're listening to United Public Radio 107.7 FM New Orleans. And we got Carter Buschardt here with us tonight on Sasquatch. It's great to have him back. We got Wild Tree representing. He's here. We got Bobby Dizzle. And Jay is lately, having to work a lot. So Wild Trees and Bobby have been sitting in when they can or to, fill in his spot. And it's been a pleasure having you guys here. It's been an interesting conversation. I'm very grateful. And it's good to have everyone here. And I wasn't sure who was going to be here tonight. Like everybody here's had COVID, it sounds like, or something. So I didn't know. It was like Russian roulette with the co-host. So everyone, glad to have you here. And Carter's one of my, I call him the Robert Duvall of Bigfoot. Of course, he's younger looking than Robert Duvall now, but it's a compliment. But it's great to have you back, Carter. What's going on with the reports? I mean, it seems like the whole planet's like about to blow up or dying or something. There's so many ways to go with that one. It seems apocalyptic on many levels. Are counters increasing? I mean, what is Bigfoot up to?
Well, in my world, what I'm working on now is habituations, where the multiple families have multiple Sasquatch families or clans, and they're interacting with them. And it's going on from, I've got some that have been doing this 6 months to a year, and I have one family that's 23, 24 years, second generation. In other words, the previous generation moved out, and the other people that moved in, the other family members already know what's going on. They're up to speed. They've had interaction. So it's just like it's passing on down the generations of family to family. Well, that's what I've been working on. But a lot of quantum paranormal type stuff. And it's becoming more accepted. It's not a dirty word. It used to be Sasquatch was a dirty word. But now if you see a Sasquatch, well, that's kind of cool. But the paranormal, quantum, supernatural type things are still on the fence. But people are, I'm putting them in the books, and I'm having people contact me. So I get contacted once or twice a month for somebody new that they got no one to talk to because people are poo-pooing the paranormal quantum aspects still enough to where people are just going underground. They won't talk about it. If you have a paranormal interaction with the Sasquatch, it's like you're the dirty, creepy uncle that nobody talks about. And we all know one of those, don't we?
Oh yeah. Some two or three.
Ron Moorhead with that book Quantum Bigfoot, that was a big slap to a lot of them, and then your books are, of course, but it's getting more. People are having to be forced into it.
Yeah, well, Ron, he did the forward on one of my books, and he's carved a niche for himself, and it's working because nobody can shoot holes in it. I mean, they try, but you just can't once you listen to those tapes. And some of the work by Scott Nelson, some of it's kind of dubious, but it's just incomplete at this point, so unfair to judge it. But you can't argue with that stuff. Just like you can't argue with the Patterson Gimlin or the Paul Freeman film. There's some things you just can't deny. And so the deniability is kind of fallen by the wayside, except for the trolls and haters, which they're always around,
I think you got to ignore a lot to take out the paranormal aspect of the Bigfoot. You got to really ignore a lot of stuff to say that's not a thing.
Right.
Yeah, you do.
Anybody that I know that you talk about the habitual guys that habitate with them, every one of those says it's paranormal aspect to it. Not one's like, it's just a monkey. Every one of them says it's paranormal.
Yeah. Well, it's not paranormal because it's not any different than going to a zoo, or you've got a dog or a goat or a donkey. You've got a beast that is not one of us, and you're interacting with it. And so the fact that they can speak, dogs bark, birds chirp, animals communicate. So that's, to me, that's not paranormal. That's just matter of course.
Yeah.
So I kind of take some of those things out of the paranormal field because all animals communicate. So that's not.
Their big problem is they think they're just a hidden monkey.
Yeah.
And where do they go? How do they get away? How come there's no good pictures? And it's either they hide in a cave or they don't exist. Like there's like a whole nother field of study on the things that explain that's like I said, you have to ignore to get to the next
Yeah.
step.
I ignore the heck out of it because that that kind of rhetoric when it first came out, it had some sting and power to it, but it's slowly fallen by the wayside because at some point you got to start listening to people you deem to be rational, intelligent people, whether it's an investigator or a witness. You have to just go, this lady, she's not yanking our chain. She's legit.
Yeah.
I
was saying like if you were a researcher that said they weren't somehow with a little bit of lack of a better term woo woo, you have to ignore a lot of stories and a lot of evidence to.
Yeah, you do, and but I've vetted.
I don't know how to do it.
I've vetted most of my witnesses. I just flat out ask them, and if I can't figure out a film or a picture, I'll send it to somebody who knows what they're doing. And I don't put it out there unless it's 99% bona fide. I mean, you can't do that because then you've done a year's worth of damage with one picture, or one video, or one recording.
One red circle.
Yeah, you can't undo that. So you have to be real careful when you put stuff out there. So and I've got people sending me stuff that a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have never even dreamed I'd be getting some of the stuff I'm getting. And and a lot of the detractors didn't dream of it either. But tough.
Hey, y'all better cut it out.
Is that a dog, man?
Jeffrey's dogs. Jeffrey's dogs are always
I'm like
the co-host.
In a barn. I'm like in a barn. There's a pig in here and dogs and a cat.
We got a dog man here. This is awesome.
So it's Sasquatch Evidence of an Enigma. What's your link for everybody? Is there a website they can go to?
The website is sqexplorer.com. sqexplorar.com. And I sell them on there. I'm selling all three for $50 now. They're all full color. They're really nice. There's nice photographs. They're autographed. That'll bring the value down, but I still autograph them whether you like it or not.
A lot of good pictures. What's up with the one with the hand? Like that's one of the really good ones.
That's one of the ones that I was kind of surprised. There's a really, really cool story behind it. We can start off with that if you want, or you just want to.
Yeah, you can
or whatever.
You can tell that one.
You'll pull that one up and pull up the one with the guy in the camo suit because those go hand in hand. Those are on the cover.
What is that in the camo one? That it's like a shadow. Is that the Bigfoot? I was having trouble trying to figure out what we were looking at.
No, you're talking about in the background.
Yeah.
No, that's an above ground blind.
Okay.
It's just back. It's back there, and right next to it, what you can't see is a corn feeder. So they have about 35 cameras in this little area here. It's about 50, 60 square yards, and they're all set up in triangular, like 3 cameras here, 3 there, so you don't miss anything. If something walks in front, you've got a picture of the camera, taking a picture of the camera, taking a picture of the deer or whatever you're looking for. So, but that's what that is like there. But it is really. If you look at the timestamp, that's what. Can you pull those photos up?
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can.
You want me to share them, Jeffrey? I got them up right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've had them up.
I sent them to everybody. I was just figuring out how to save them somewhere. There we go.
Carter, I have a question while we're waiting.
Yeah.
So you investigated Bigfoot a lot. I'm wondering if you agree with my thinking on Bigfoot. So I feel like Bigfoot or Sasquatch, I think it is a worldwide phenomenon, but I don't think there's one cause to it. I think there's multiple in different areas, there's different causes. Like for an example, part of me does think that some subsections of Bigfoot in some areas, they are just an animal, like a gorilla or a chimpanzee, and perhaps they don't have these teleportation abilities. They don't have the ability to open the portals. I wonder if some Bigfoot reports are actually extraterrestrials or UFO occupants, and that's just the way they look. They just look like a hairy man, like Chewbacca. And those are my thoughts. So my question to you is like, do you think that these worldwide accounts, do you think it all has one explanation? Or do you think there's different things to for each different account? Like there could be.
Yeah, I think there's a diverse number of possibilities. Part of me thinks that there's a hierarchy. So as you're born as a Sasquatch and you're a juvenile, you're progressing up the food chain, you suddenly maybe have the powers, but you're not allowed to use them unless you attain a certain level of intellect or, being one to try to, share your feelings about the earth and the planet and because I think their overall goal is to keep us from killing ourselves and destroying the planet, and to teach us how to live in peace with one another. That's my altruistic view. But I think there are hierarchies, and I have nothing to substantiate that other than I see and hear reports of juveniles not being able to do something or not doing something when somebody else had done it just before them. So there may be, you have to earn your keep, so to speak. You have to reach a certain level of altruism or philosophical or spiritual maturity to be able to go to the next level, because you're being trusted with trying to guide the humans and the planet to do the right thing to the planet, for the planet, to each other, with each other. And so I believe some of that, and some of that is just a regional thing. Like, in Florida, you've got the skunk apes. They're smaller, they're meaner, they're nasty, more aggressive, as a rule. And then here in Missouri, where I'm at, they're bigger. They're just kind of, almost good old boys. They have some skill sets, which I've experienced, and my wife has experienced it with me. So they have those skills. I think it's something you have to earn to be able to do it. So
that's great. Yeah, I've never heard that before. That's crazy. That's a whole new interpretation. But I do like it. It does make sense.
It's a theory. It explains certain things. But this picture here. Okay, let's go to the preacher. Okay, right here you see the preacher. This is the town preacher in this city. He is really good friends with the landowner, and because he doesn't make a lot of money, he's allowed to hunt the property and feed his family. And so they're real good friends, and they go out and check the cameras and stuff. I've been to the property twice. So you see where the preacher's walking, you see the shadow on about mid-calf, triangular. You see the horizontal tree that's fallen in the background. You see the trees are standing up. They're not moving. You see what is in the background now we know is the blind, and right off to the edge is the corn feeder, which you can't see. But notice the time stamp. This is the key to this one. It's 3:12 and 36 seconds. Click the next picture.
Is it from 2002?
No, the date is wrong.
Okay, I was going to say, damn.
Yeah, no.
I didn't know they had cameras like that in 2002.
January of last year.
Okay.
Now look at this. 3:12, 40 seconds. This being appeared 4 seconds after the preacher tripped the camera. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, it's there. The shadow is not as pronounced along the bottom because it bumped the camera. If you see the trees in the background, they look like they're blowing, they're moving. It's because this being appeared and bumped the camera, knocked it out of focus. It's so close, it's out of focus. He never saw it, he never sensed it, he never heard it. It just was there. So, I mean, what do you do with that? This is a town preacher, when a book first came out and the cover was out there, people go, well, preachers lie all the time. Look at this Joel Osteen. He's a crook. He's worth, $12 million, and he lives in a $14 million mansion. He makes money off the congregations. They'll lie all they can because, that's some of them are. So I got that crap, but, it just rolls off my back. But what do you do with something like that?
Is that a hand?
It's a hand.
Okay, it's like I know it's an extremity. I just wasn't sure which one.
I mean, it could be a foot. I think it's a hand, and I think it's the right hand. I think the thumb is when you see this big forefinger right here in the middle. The thumb is underneath it, and the little finger is right next to it here. But that's just my assessment. But
and what state is this?
I can't say, but it's Southwest.
Okay.
It's Texas, Oklahoma area.
For some reason, I keep thinking of hills have eyes and like a mutant claw.
But the thing is with this, I was contacted about 2 months before I met these people from an investigator in Florida, Stacy Brown, and he wanted to know. He had contact with the film company. The film company wanted to do one of my published beta file roll reports, and it was out of Arkansas. Well, I contacted the people, and they've been real nice. They were in one of my books, but they suddenly just were demanding money and material goods and stuff just to be on a film. And that's not how that stuff works. I mean, you don't get paid a bucket load of money. They were just being ridiculously demanding about, well, now that you want us, well, this is what we want. It was, no, that's not how it works. So I called them back and I said, listen, my people are being unreasonable. They're not going to do it. But I just happened to have gotten this other report that nobody has seen. BFRO hadn't seen it. And I'm going to send you this picture. And I hadn't even had time to check the picture out. So I said, you send this to your camera people and you tell me what you think. I think it's legit. With what moderate skills I have, I checked it and I couldn't see any, tampering of the pixelation or any of that kind of stuff. And they called back in 2 hours and said, we're on our way. So that told me that this thing passed muster. So we spent a couple of days there filming, and it didn't work out. It was for Hulu, and due to creative differences with the different producers and people, it just got scrapped after we taped it. But that was an awesome find. I mean, look at that.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Now it could be. It's not a Sasquatch, but it's something else.
Bobby, I want to get your opinion because Bobby, I'm not very experienced with trail cams. I know Bobby is because I've been on shows with Bobby too, and Bobby's really good at dissecting trail cam footage. What is your thought, Bobby? What do you think's going on here? I'm
not sure. The first red flag, which he it's not the year, which isn't true because they didn't have these kind of trail cams back then. They were all Kodak. You had to put the little film canister in. So I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, this is clearly digital. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely the way they work just like a regular camera does, like a regular. Remember the old digital cameras before everybody had a cell phone?
Yeah,
they work just like that. I mean, the only thing I could think of, like if I could, maybe it's his hand and he was doing something, but 4 seconds is a long time. Or he's that far away, 5 yards right there?
That's a weird looking hand.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like those have eyes.
It has those weird claws. It almost has claws.
Yeah, the fingernails are almost turned up.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's a juvenile because it's not yet fully matured to where it,
what is this right here? I mean, that's like a crazy.
It's a knuckle
looking. Yeah. Oh, is it like this?
Look at the detail.
Well, I think what you're looking at, I think the thumb is behind and underneath the finger you're looking at.
Look at the wrinkles.
So there's the little finger, there's the thumb, and then there's that middle finger, the index, and the pinky.
That one right there is the craziest one because what's going on with that? That's
It's just bizarre. Now, when we got there, they were talking about a report out of Arkansas, and it goes back into the 1800s, 1900s, early 1900s, about something called the Gowrow, Gowrow. It was supposed to be a mythical beast that was part turtle, part some kind of dinosaur with spikes on its back, but it walked upright, and a lot of people had reported it way back, but nothing recently. So they were trying to throw that in there as a possibility because they were coming up with
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
mythology, and old wives' tales and tales from back in the Wild West days.
Yeah.
But that is just what, and if you met these people, they're like the salt of the earth. They're good human people. They just aren't the kind to do that. They don't want anything. And that's the thing with a lot of all my people, they don't want anything except the jerks from Arkansas that said, well, we want $5,000 and we want blah blah blah. Anyway, but they're just, what do you think? Oh my God, what is this? I mean, they don't want anything. They don't want any money, no name, no fortune. Their names are all phony in the book. I put false locations because I don't want anybody going out there, and they don't want them out there either. They don't want anything. They just want to get their story and know what the heck they're dealing with.
Looks like it jarred the heck out of that camera too, because look, that tree there, like you said, it bumped it. That tree there is over here now.
We've heard so much about them interacting with trail cams, putting stuff over them and turning them around. Like they know that game.
Another thing that I've thought of here, is when you set up a game camera. Was this footage with just screenshots, or are these pictures from the? Is the taking like
pictures.
A clip?
They're just pictures. They don't do any video. They don't have any video.
Or usually they're set like 10, 20, 30 seconds before it resets. That's just weird that it's 4 seconds later. Unless they just have a.
You can do my cameras. You can set them up to where they're.
It's fairly new, I'm sure.
What's the word where it rattles off 5 photos in like a second.
Yeah, that's right, with the clip.
A burst.
Okay.
Yeah, burst. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can grab it. You can get 5, 6, 10 photos in a couple of seconds.
I forgot about the burst feature.
Yeah. And so I have mine set on burst.
Yeah.
I recently saw Kawani Leporitis. I've interviewed him. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He has a book called Psychic Sasquatch and Sasquatch People. He's been around a long ass time. His name's Kawani Leporitis, and I probably messed up his last name. But he was on that Michael Salla Exopolitics, and I don't normally watch Exopolitics. It's creepy. I think a lot of it's like they should be writing Amazon Alien erotica on there or something. But anyway, I happened to see Kawani on that show, and you can find it. But he had one of the best pictures of Bigfoot I've ever seen that I really think was real. And Kawani has been talking about the Bigfoot alien connection for like 30 or 40 years or something. And there's another guy that's connected to him, Sunbow True Brother, that I've had on that's been with shamans and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you want to go full throttle with the alien stuff, they're full throttle with it. It takes a minute.
Yeah, I had Sunbow on last night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he was on my show.
Yeah. Sunbow was like, there's alien factions. Some of them have gone to cyborg AI, and some of them are good. I'm like, whoa.
That guy's fun, man. I had a great time.
But they're right. They get right in your face with the woo, and they don't care. They'll slap you with it like a kung fu dude. But there's something to that.
He's been on a couple of planets and with the Sumerians and the Anunnaki, and he speaks those languages, and the Sasquatch are connected somehow.
There's something to it. I think Sasquatch have a connection to star people. I mean, look at natives; they have ceremonies and dances that's like to the star people. It's like, and I know Kawani was saying that the star people will come get some of the tribal chiefs and go up and they'll have meetings about Earth. And I'm like, takes a minute for your mind to get around it, but maybe they are. And then the other weird thing is with Bigfoot, I think there's physical ones and they have weird whatever going on that might be paranormal, whatever. But when they die, they're a ghost. So you may be seeing like multidimensional ghost Bigfoot, physical Bigfoots. Like there may be a variety of, like you may be seeing their spirits, so there may be like actual physical tribes.
Well, the one thing I know is that the ape-only theory does not explain virtually any of what we were just talking about. It explains virtually nothing other than I saw a gorilla. I mean, that's basically what you got when you got the ape only. They're just a dumb, undiscovered ape, but they're awfully darn smart if they can avoid humans at will.
The way Kawani said it, and I think Sunbow said that there's some that they call the ancient ones. And if you look at that Michael Salla, it's on YouTube, Kawani Leporitis, he's got a picture of it that's amazing. It's like the best Bigfoot picture, if it's real, I've ever seen in my life. Like the whole, you can see its eyes and face, like it's crazy. But anyway, there's ancient ones, and then he shows some weird, like medieval stuff or whatever of like people with hair on their bodies, like throughout history. Like I've seen weird art in the Bible where everybody's hairy and stuff. It's like there's ancient ones, and then there's some that are kind of ape-like that are Sasquatch. Like there's different varieties.
Mhm.
But I have seen some of that weird medieval stuff of hairy people, like in Bible scenes. So,
It keeps the conversations going, and when you talk about the ancient ones, that gets into my pseudo theory where you have to reach a certain level and attain
Jedi level.
you have to reach a certain level before you can use some of these powers where you're changing your vibrational frequency and using telepathy or
There's
infrasound.
something to that, I think.
There could be. It makes sense, but you just have to take all the blinders off and throw stuff out there. Our theories, our suppositions, some of them could be wrong. Well, toss them out the window and we'll keep moving. I'm not gonna invest every nickel I have in a theory. It's just the broad theory. Let's just keep throwing stuff at it. But if you're just going to go look at all this with a dumb ape only eyes, the conversation's going to last about 7 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah.
How old do you think they live? If you had to guess.
I'm told several hundred years.
Okay.
200 to 300 years.
Dang.
They might be people from the Bible then.
Yeah, and biblically speaking, Moses, what were they, 400, 600 years old? I mean, then you get into lineage and what is your perception of time, and what is your concept of time? If you're in another dimension, you're 25 years old, you go to this other dimension, you're 125, but you don't look at or act it. That is your linear age based on where you're at. So, and that's all theory as well. You can't prove it unless you got the remote
It's
viewer.
like they're all in another reality existing, and they walk through the different realities, and so maybe a different timeline almost.
Yeah, it makes you scratch your head real hard. I draw blood because I'm going, what?
What do you think is the origin of Bigfoot? Where do they come from? Are they from Earth, or are they from where?
I believe they're from Earth. If you go to Zachariah Sitchin, or you go to Lloyd Pye, the books Everything You Know Is Wrong, and his other book, among others, Everything You Know Is Still Wrong, the Anunnaki and the Sumerians, they got together many, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years ago. The gorilla Sasquatch type being was already here. They took and kept breeding them, mixing the DNA with humans and the Sasquatch until they got to what we are now called the hairless humans. So we could think and reason. The reason they needed that type of being was to mine the gold, because the Anunnaki's atmosphere back on their planet, Narubu, was losing its atmosphere. And gold is known in its powder form to be able to plug the holes in the atmosphere. Don't ask me to tell you how it's done, because I'll lie, because I don't know anything about that. But we were used to mine gold until they got sufficient quantities to go back to their home planet. And we were left here on the planet, along with some of the original Sasquatch. Well, they've had these powers for eons. We probably had the same powers they did. We invented enough stuff to do things for us. We got lazy. We don't have to we don't have to hunt for our food. We have a computer does things for us. We have cars take us where, airplanes take us everywhere. We go to the grocery store, we go buy clothes. We don't have to do anything for ourselves. We've lost the ability to use the powers we probably had millennia ago, with telekinesis, telepathy, levitation, all the kind of things you hear about back in Atlantis and Egyptian days. You go way, way, way back. So I ascribe to some of that because it kind of makes sense, unless somebody can, what's the planet been here? 7,000 years? They say we've been here 4 billion. The Earth is 4 billion years, or 6 billion. But, man, civilized man, animals as we know them, have only been here 7,000. So there's a huge chasm in what everybody thinks, And I'm more along the line, let's keep going back. But, if you go back 3 billion years, well, this could have been a planet that was ruled and lived, and settled by an entirely different race. If you get into the ETs and the things they tell you, well, I've been alive longer than you can even comprehend. You don't understand age as we understand it.
Mhm.
I am who you will be, and you will never be me. That kind of stuff. So it gets real trippy dippy, but it's far more interesting and answers a lot of more philosophical questions and material questions too, rather than the dumb ape theory. And when you mentioned UFO connection, I've got one guy in my book had 6 hours of missing time with a Sasquatch. I had 2 female scientists who had 2 hours of missing time when they saw a Sasquatch driving across Missouri going back to Oklahoma. So there's a connection there, and I have many of my habituation people say they will see a Sasquatch right before or right after a UFO event, or they'll see a UFO right before or right after a Sasquatch event.
And
Right.
also, when people have Bigfoot encounters, you've had some things where it follows them home, like poltergeist type activity and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I know you've told me some stories like that, right? Like something like poltergeisty happens, or in the house or something after.
You're right up my alley, man. I got that stuff going on here at the house like crazy.
What's
I
some
had
of the stuff?
something
Tell
tapping on
us.
my head 3 times when I'm watching TV. My wife's sitting right next to me. Then the next night we're watching TV, the same thing. The TV goes off and the remote is sitting on the table in front of me. It wiggles just a little bit. So somebody pushed the button and made
We've
it go
had some
off.
things. Me and Christina, something slapped our bed at the other house we were at one time. Something slapped our RV here,
Yeah,
and just weird little things. Like, I mean, it was almost like someone came up to the RV and just popped
Yeah.
it, like palmed it, but no one was there. It was like 4 in the morning. No one was around, and I looked. And same thing with the bed thing. Nothing. I mean,
we got stuff going on in bed, and I'm not talking about weird stuff. I'm talking about somebody yanked the pillow off underneath my wife's head one night. I had 3 or 4 hands under each of my legs lift me up and were slowly carrying me off the edge of the bed. I see my wife getting up, going to the bathroom. I was saying, "Are you seeing this? Are you looking at this? What's going on?" And she didn't hear me. She just kept walking, and I was looking at it through kind of a cloudy, misty kind of thing. It was really bizarre. And when she went to the bathroom, she did her business. When she flushed, I got dropped back on the bed. Now she said, "Well, you were just having a lucid dream." I said, "There was no lucid dream. I felt the hands, the fingers. I saw you getting up. You were butt naked, going to the bathroom. I mean, that was happening. And you can't tell me it wasn't. If something yanked a pillow off from underneath your head, then something picked me up and carried me. You can't have it both ways." And so I knew that was a real thing. I felt the fingers. I felt the hands. And so we've got, I started in 2020, I made a contact with a clan in Illinois when I led my last expedition for BFRO. And since then, I've started this document. It's a Word document, about 4 pages now. It's called Strangeness at Home. Every time something bizarre happens here, and it happens usually every 4 to 6 weeks, some bizarre something will happen. You go, what? Did you see that? Did you hear? It's weird stuff. Now, we could have a poltergeist. We could be haunted, have ghosts. I mean, it could be. But it all started when I made contact, and I have been contacted since then with this Sasquatch clan. And so I attribute it to that and that only. And maybe they're doing weird things just to throw us off. I think they're just jacking with us.
Yeah, a lot of that. They have a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's nothing like, I fear none of it. It's nothing is implying or showing any kind of terror or malevolent thing. It is just, hey, we're still here. Hey, check this out.
It's funny.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Jeffrey. Well, it's funny because what you're mentioning is the hitchhiker effect. It sounds like it. Basically, that term comes from Skinwalker Ranch, where people would visit. They would have an intense paranormal experience. They would go home to another state, thousands of miles away, and they would have paranormal things happening. And so the popular thinking is that something is following you from the first location to the second location. But I'm not saying that's true or wrong, but I did find an alternate explanation, which I thought was interesting and worth considering. So this is an explanation by a PhD sociologist who studies remote viewing and crop circles and UFOs. His name is Simeon Hein. He's got a channel, Simeon Hein, on YouTube, and he's written a book as well, several books. But what he thought might be happening in the hitchhiker effect, and so instead of something following you from that area, and that's what's bothering, he thinks what's happening is that you have the initial paranormal encounter, like you with the Bigfoot, the clans, or the people at Skinwalker Ranch, and what happens then is that you're actually changed. What is changing is that you're now able to perceive things that have always been there. So then when you go back home, it's not the same things that are following you. It's things that have always been there at your house. It's just that your perception was never open to them. So now you're just interacting with all these invisible things that were not there before. So that's like an alternate explanation, which I think it's worth considering. And I like.
Yeah.
It opens you up.
Well, here's the deal with that. I've got a really good example of that. This book here, you see a log here. I led an expedition in 2019. Here, I'll get it back up. Okay, there's 5 rocks on one end, there's 1 on the other end. I led an expedition for BFRO. There was somebody else supposed to do it, and at the last minute they canceled, couldn't do it, had family problems, whatever. And so they had a bunch of people that were going to go on this thing. Well, they refunded the money back to everybody but 4 people. 4 people were adamant. We want to go. We want to go on this expedition. So I said, well, I haven't done one in Illinois. What the heck? I've done 3 in Missouri and 1 now in Illinois. So I went. I contacted the people. There was 4 people, and we had a great expedition. Now we went to the Trail of Tears. I don't know if you're familiar with that area.
Yes.
A lot of misery and sadness, murder, mayhem. It was just a very sad thing. But when I went to town with scouting, I always go to the mom and pop restaurants, the breakfast joints. You got like 18 guys sitting there in bib overalls. They look you up and down, go, oh, you ain't from around here, are you, boy? So you walk in there, it's just kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I asked, well, where's a good spot? I tell them what I'm doing, and they go, well, there's one place nobody will go ever. Nobody in town will go anywhere near that after dark, and that's over here in this area. I said, well, that's where I'm going because I'm going where the action is. So we went there. We had a great expedition. We got 7 or 8 really good footprints, good sized footprints, tons of stick structures, really great evidence of them there. We took the 4 of us and myself went down. Harold, my partner, who's had 2 strokes and cancer, could not make it's really nasty, jagged climb down. So he couldn't make it. So he stayed in this truck in the parking lot where we went down, and we stopped at this log because that's about all they could handle for that one night. We could hear them. We could hear them snorting and grunting. They were throwing little sticks and pebbles at us, but they wouldn't communicate verbally or do any kind of knocks or rock clack, anything like that. But we knew they were there. You knew you were surrounded because the sides were like 25, 30 feet in the air, and they were up above us looking down at us. So we were like, we're sitting ducks. So we stopped at that log. And we went back, spent the night. The next day was Saturday. That was the first day of hunting. This was October. So there was like 0 activity. There'd been gunfire all day. You know how it is. And I went down there and looking around. There was guys up in the trees and blinds that weren't there the night before. So it was a crappy night, but we had good event. So fast forward to 2020, COVID had hit. I'd started writing my books, and I talked to Harold and said, you know what? I want to go back down there. Let's just go back on the anniversary. I want to see if that hill had the same vibe that it did that night, because it felt really good. And I didn't know if we were sensing maybe some of the spirits from the Native Americans who died horrible deaths there. They froze to death because they were only a mile from the Mississippi. That's where they were trying to get, was the Mississippi River. So there was a lot of sadness there with all that. So anyway, we went back, and Harold again could not get all the way down. So I went to this rock, to this log where we stopped one year before. I said, well, this is a good spot here. It's a good little clearing. So I said, I'm going to leave a camera. And so I'll go back and get it on the way back to Kansas City in the morning. So I'll go back and get it. So it was about 2:00 in the afternoon. I left the camera there. You know, it's hardly worth a shot, but you're never going to get anything if you don't have one. So anyway, I tried. Well, you know, look at the hand photo I got. I mean, it's proof that those things do work every now and then. Anyway, I go back the next morning to get my camera. It's about 8:00, and I'm looking at the log. I'm going, where'd these rocks come from? They weren't there. They were not there. And I'm looking at it, and sometimes I get teary-eyed when I talk about this. I try not to. But I was looking at it, and I'm going, holy crap, that's us. They're communicating. That's me, the pointed rock, and the 4 rocks behind it. That's the 4 people. And the rock on the other end was Harold, who was there, but he wasn't there.
Oh.
I'm going, oh, my God. They're contacting me. They're letting me know. I'm getting a shoulder tap. What the hell? You know, so I call my wife. You know, I called Harold first. I couldn't get a hold of him, so I called my wife. And I said, you won't believe this. I told her the story. She said, well, what time do you think this happened last night? I said, I don't know. We were here. We left after 2:00. But, you know, it's October. And so it's dark by 5:30, and there's COVID. Nobody's out anyway. It's highly unlikely. And then that they pick these 5 rocks, me and the other 4. And she goes, well, this will probably get your attention. I was getting ready for bed the night before, 8:30, and a blue orb comes into our bedroom, makes a couple of circles, flies into the bathroom, it's gone.
Oh.
Since then, the strangeness at home, including visual, telepathic, mental images from the Sasquatch clan. I've experienced that about a half a dozen times. They were letting me know, her know, that we know where you live, and you're one of the cool kids now. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? It was just, when you
one of us.
When you get that kind of event, you can try to talk yourself out of it. You know, I don't want it to be what it is. I'm glad it is what I believe it to be, because they've shown me where they live, and I've had mental images in my head many times since then. And that's why I have concluded that most of the activity, whether it seems like it's poltergeist or impish little juveniles just messing with you, I think they made contact and they're having fun kind of jacking, you know, to some degree.
You remember when we had Randy on the first time from Minnesota with all his Bigfoot? He told him to mess with it. About that time, my internet shut off. And then the next time we had him on your show, and he said, guys, if you're here, do something, and his internet shut off. And it's the most technical problems I've ever had on a podcast.
Same thing they do with trail cameras. We're not going to make it. The batteries are going to all be drained.
They're ripping his off the trees.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you do with that? You know, I mean, it was like the most incredibly obvious shoulder tap I'd ever got, you know, and my wife, who's a believer, but she's seen other things beside that. That was nothing to her, you know. And the thing was, she saw it physically in the room. She saw it flying right by her. And she also saw the reflection in the mirror on our dresser. So it was a real thing. It was reflecting. It wasn't, she saw it in the mirror only. She saw it zip right by her.
Did she say how big it was?
Golf ball.
All right.
Something like that. She said it was a ping pong ball, golf ball, somewhere in that.
Cool. I don't want to interrupt, but I got to go jump on another show. It was good to meet you, Carter, and see Wild Trees and Jeffrey. Hey, I'll if you don't mind, I may reach out to you and maybe try to get you on my show, continue this conversation.
Sure.
Because I love the subject matter and not just the dumb monkey thing. So I could talk about this for hours. So.
Oh yeah. Me too. You'll have
Bobby.
trouble setting me up. So
yeah.
All right.
All right, see you, Carter. See you, Wild Trees and Jeffrey.
Thanks,
Take care, Bobby.
Well, I want to. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah, the thing is, I was going to say is really interesting about your experiences, which, yeah, that's a great experience. And, yeah, that's so personal and touching that it happened to you that way. But what sticks out, what you kept saying, sticks out to me is this communication aspect, like the wanting for them wanting to communicate with you. And then when you put that together with the blue orb, it reminds me of, I just saw an interview with, just a series of interviews with Robert Bigelow, who has funded a lot of paranormal research about the afterlife, about Skinwalker Ranch. He's worked with the government. He's very wealthy. He is a billionaire. He made his money through the hotel industry, but now he's also working in the aerospace company. Anyway, he did these long series of interviews, which he rarely does, but he did them on a channel called New Thinking Aloud.
Jeffrey Mishlove. I've interviewed Jeffrey Mishlove.
Oh, you have? Oh my
a
God!
long time ago. Yeah, I've had his book Roots of Consciousness, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Huh.
Bigelow's fascinating, creepy but fascinating.
Mhm.
So what he said in these interviews was that he basically was saying that his research in Skinwalker Ranch, he ended up at a point where he was making pretty constant contact with whatever was there. And he said that was just like whatever was there, they wanted to play games, is what he called it. And they had a real desire to make contact with them. So they would like leave symbols or something in a room or a card. I don't remember exactly, but they would leave something. They would, like let's just say it was cards. They would leave playing cards on a table, all disorganized, and then they would leave. And then when they come back, nobody had been there, but they would all be organized in a certain way. And he basically said that through his research, he got to the point where these things, whatever they are, paranormal things, they were making, very predictable communication. And he's like, that's what they wanted. They wanted to make contact. And then he said he got to the point where he wanted to be like, what do you want from me? Like, how can I help you? Like, I don't want to keep asking things from you. Because I also feel like one of the problems with people that study the paranormal is that people are very needy. Like, they always want something from the paranormal. They want a picture. They want an experience. They want, a recording of an audio. But anyway, long story short, there's a lot of similarities with what happened there and your story. And at the end, Robert Bigelow said he ended that research because he felt like they were getting too close. He felt like the communication and the interaction was getting to another level. Like maybe they were going to second base or third base, if you want to use that analogy. And I think he just got scared about that, and so he ended the research. He didn't like that it was getting too close.
Be careful what you ask for.
Exactly. You might actually get it.
Yeah. But so what do you do with stuff like that? And so it has started, and here's another thing with the concept of time. So when I'm shown these things, my wife and I, we don't sleep really well, so we listen to meditation before we go to bed, and it helps us because our minds are always won't shut down. So we listen to meditation and binaural beats and the gongs and the bowls and all the stuff. Anyway, when I get to that alpha state right before I'm fixing to go, about a half a dozen times since 2020, I have been shown where they live, and I am going down, and I'm moving at a fixed speed. I'm moving, not fast, 10 miles an hour, maybe 5. I'm just going at a set, calm pace, but the landscape on either side of me is going by much faster than I'm moving. So I'm going like this, and it's
okay.
It makes no sense,
but
that's their version of time versus ours, And so, but they'll show me this ravine.
Like remote viewing?
Well, I don't know that it's that. They're coming to me. I'm not channeling this. I'm shown the same. I've been shown the same thing half a dozen times. So I think they're showing me, and and so I ask, well, where is this? Because this looks like Illinois, but it also looks like my research area in Missouri. Because I have 2 places that have really long, deep ravines, about 75 to 100 yards long, and there's a stopping point. And anyway, and they say, home. This is home. That's all they say. But I see juveniles laying around. They're poking sticks in the ground. They're digging for bugs and moles and mice, and they're picking them up and throwing. I mean, they're just playing. It's like a day in the life.
I see, a couple of 2 or 3, adults in the background sitting on a tree, laying on the ground, just kind of watching the kid. Just it'd be like you and I sitting around in the house on a weekend with a couple of beers and cooking hamburgers. I mean, and the family's out there playing, pickleball or whatever.
Are they out in the open, or is it like a cave, or is it like covered with trees?
It's in an open wood setting. It's like they're sitting out in a stand of trees.
Okay.
It looks very similar to my research areas where it's high banks. Used to be water running through here a long time ago, and you'll see trees way up and scrub and trees growing out of the sides going up. Then it flattens out to an area where they're just kind of laying around like,
Is it there but a
they're just laying around,
parallel?
farting around.
Is it there but a parallel reality?
Yeah, and so I'm seeing that, and they're showing me, but that's all they've ever shown me, and I haven't even asked to be shown anything else. They just every now and then I'll get these little views, like there's 6 or 7 faces, and they're all trying to cram into this one space here, so they can get like because there's a camera looking at them, and they're all trying to get their 2 cents worth in. So they're getting right into this little area, like they're all kind of fighting for some attention or something. It's just and that's only happened once, but it's another form of communication, and I've thought when all this strangeness started happening at home, and then it kind of tapered off, I was kind of like, well, don't you love me anymore? Aren't I still in the group? Aren't I in the gang? I felt really kind of left out, and then stuff would start happening again. And then every now and then I get one of these visions at night. I won't even say it's crazy, because I think it's a dirty word now when we're talking about, this kind of research, but it's inexplicable, other than I have experienced telepathic imagery before, and my wife was a witness to it. Now, when I'm experiencing it in bed, she's out, she's gone. She'd fall asleep like that. Me, it takes me a couple hours. I'm solving all the world's problems before I go to bed. Does that sound familiar, anybody? But so, they can do this, and it's inexplicable by any dumb ape only rationale. That's not it. They can do this, and they do it. And, I'm telling you that. You don't know that. You may or may not believe that, may not be in your wheelhouse, but, that's what's happening, and to others, and to some of my habituation witnesses. They're getting telepathic things. They're seeing the orbs, lights, UFOs flying over their house at 100 feet. The thing's, like 100 yards long. It's as big as a football field. And they have Sasquatch living on their properties. So it's an incredible phenomenon, and there's something going on with Middle America, and it's a dirty little secret in the Sasquatch research arena.
Yeah, I want to touch back on like I thought you kind of mentioned something like this, but like, do they have a purpose with us? Like, I think you mentioned something like they're trying to make us be better stewards of the planet, something like that.
I believe that's their ultimate goal. And I've been told that by people that are heavier into the meditation and actually communicate with them. And some of these people are my habituation folks, where they say, we're just being really bad to the planet. I mean, they're getting those kind of messages and stuff, And so I believe they were stewards of the planet before we came along, and they'll be here long after we trash the place if we don't watch what we're doing, And I've never had a negative, fearful interaction with them. I've never felt threatened. I know some people do, but I think you're probably doing the wrong thing. Either you've got a gun, you're getting too close to the kids and the family, or you are trying to shoot and kill them, because everybody wants to be number one in the Sasquatch world and get the body and get the big bounty and be rich and all that stuff, So, but I've never had a negative. I'm not even going to knock on wood, because I don't believe they're that type, unless I am that type. You know, sometimes people do not understand rational behavior if they're irrational people. You have to be kind of a irrational person too to get their attention sometimes. You know.
Well, it's interesting because I am a biologist and I'm a field biologist, so I don't particularly work with crazy wild animals like cougars or bears, but I do work in areas with those animals and snakes. And I guess if people don't have experience with wildlife like that, they don't realize that when you're in the wild, not at a zoo, not at a park, and you're sharing a space with a wild snake, a wild bear, there's so much communication going on. Like they're checking every single movement you're making, and your movements, your eyes, your voice, everything, you're dictating how that interaction is going to go.
Yeah, your intent.
Yeah, your intent, and your intent is projected visually, and audio. It comes out. So it's.
I believe that. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So it makes sense that would also apply to Sasquatch or Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That your attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the alpha as far as reading people or reading any other being. They're the alpha animal on the planet by far. I mean, just flat out. I don't care if you're talking about whales or squid or what other large horrifying creatures we have out there. They're the alpha. They know what to do, when to do it, who to do it to and with, and and they don't have to sit around and gloat and stand over their prey and something they killed. They kill to eat, and that's the other thing. They do not really care for recreational hunting. They frown on that. They kill for sport so I can go put a head and some antlers on my wall. Well,
right. They don't like that. That makes sense.
It's not something that's not in there. You kill for the sake of killing. Sport. That's so far beneath them. And if you talk to the Native Americans, they will tell you the same thing, that kind of ideology goes back thousands of years. And I think they had symbiotic relationships with the Native Americans here in North America long before we, the white man, came across.
I have another question. So what would you say, would you estimate is the current world population of Bigfoot? And has it changed? Let's say a few hundred years ago, was it higher or lower? Those are my two questions. I know you can't know possibly, but if you had to guess.
Well, BFRO, and this was 20 years ago, said there's probably 2,000, 3,000. I think they're so far off they're not even close. Okay. I think there's 250 to 500,000 at least.
Really?
We don't know what's living in the caves.
Okay.
We don't know what's living in other dimensions or portals.
Sure, of course.
And you have to even wrap your head around that. Like, does that even exist?
You could have a whole civilization in another dimension.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so you got a family here and you got a family here. I mean, who knows?
Hey,
I would say 500,000 at the very least.
Did you ever see that movie Midnight Special with Michael Shannon and that little kid? If you've never seen it, remember it's called Midnight Special, and it's got Michael Shannon, the creepy actor dude that's a good actor, and a little kid. Yeah. But basically, it's about like what we're talking about. But don't forget it if you can. That's a good one. I thought about that one, but it's really good. It came out.
Midnight Special.
Ago. Yeah, that's the
name. I'll look that one up. But see, so I think there's. And I think the population has increased because we have increased the population of deer in the food sources.
Okay.
And the waters. Now, I don't remember how many millions of acres in the United States are uninhabited by humans, not counting the cave systems, not counting, Canada. I'm just talking about the United States. There's millions and millions of acres where these beings can live and walk and live with little or no obstruction, and so that's really my belief that there's at least 250,000 to 500,000 in the continental United States.
Dang, that's so crazy. Okay, another question: what is your feeling? What is your research telling you? What is the attitude of Alaska Bigfoot? What are those reports like?
So they seem to be more aggressive. And much bigger. As you get into the hinterlands in British Columbia and Alaska, some of those boys are 12 to 15 feet, and they're as they are secluded from human interaction, the more they interact with us, the more agitated they get, because they realize, God, you guys are just jerks. Why do I want to mess with you people?
A lot of them don't like us probably at all.
They don't like us. We crap all over the place. We recreational kill. We throw garbage. You throw beer cans and stuff in there. I mean, they don't like us like that. I don't think they like us anyway. But I think the ones that are interacting in habituation situations are having, this is kind of they're paying their dues. We're going to show these humans how to be and how to act, and hopefully I can move to another level. I don't have to deal with these people. A lot of them do. They enjoy the interactions. But I think when you get up into those areas where there's just virtually no humans, they're spoiled. And they're much more aggressive with their territory too. You come up to this line and that's it. Don't mess with me past this line. You come 1 foot over, I'm gonna take your head off. And
no, that was my next question. Do you think there have been deaths, purposeful deaths caused by Bigfoot?
I don't believe so, and I have not heard of any legitimate deaths. Although 2 or 3 months ago, Land Between the Lakes supposedly had a couple that was killed. 2 or 3 people were coupled, was killed. Their tent was covered with blood. The body parts were everywhere.
Oh no!
But where is that? Where is that proof? There's just rumors and innuendo.
So you don't think so? You don't think the evidence is there for?
No, I don't. If there was something like that, you couldn't cover that up for very long. Somebody would talk, unless the military is involved. Military, lumber companies, paper companies, they're the enemy as far as our knowledge goes.
Yeah,
of course. And they're never going to tell us. It's like the UFOs. They're going to lie until they can't.
Yeah.
Did you see that Hulu documentary Sasquatch about the weed growers or cartel and they killed all those people? It's on Hulu. It's called Sasquatch, but some drug growers killed some people and blamed Sasquatch. And this dude did a whole documentary about it. That was pretty wild.
And that stuck me in because I thought it was really going to be a good Sasquatch video. It turned out to be we're dealing drugs here, and we're going to blame the Sasquatch because
it was still good.
They can't deny.
That was a lot of people like to blame Sasquatch unfairly.
What is your opinion about making a little lateral shift? I've been fascinated by this. I've just started reading about this recently. What do you think about dogmen? What's your opinions there?
I believe they're here. I've been doing this almost 20 years. I've been doing reports for BFRO for about 14, 15 years. I just in the last year and a half have taken 3 dogman reports.
Okay.
Along with a Sasquatch report. In other words, they saw it right before or right after.
Oh, wow.
And so before that, I had none. I have one picture that I got. I forgot to send it to you. I didn't think we'd get on the dogman thing, but I had, this was in Illinois when I was scouting. One of the guys in the restaurant said, "Hey, there's a buddy out there that's a buddy of mine. He's got Sasquatch on his property. They're tearing his trees up. They're doing stuff real close to the house." Long story short, the photo that I got was taken by his daughter, and it was a dogman.
Wow.
Wow, I want to see that. Someone said Melba Ketchum got dogman DNA recently, somewhere to me.
Let me see if I can find it. Let me see, because I can send it to you real quick.
Maybe it was Kiwani. I don't remember that interview. Someone told me that, though. That Melba Ketchum got dogman DNA. I've had Linda Godfrey on about dogman, and I know she passed, which is really sad and crappy, but she was real, had so many reports of that, too. East of Bray Road and all that.
Okay. I will, let's see, I'll get Facebook up here, and I will send you this photo.
It's interesting that you only recently started having 20 years experience. It's only recently and only a handful of accounts of dogmen. That's very interesting.
Well, yeah, and it's weird. What I attribute that to is let me get this here real quick. Let's see, that is extra photos.
It's a governmental hybrid experiment, a mutation that they grew in a lab and they let it out. Now it's out.
Out!
It's been out since the Howling. They tried to tell us the Howling 1 through 5. I think my brother said he saw one. I know I want to see a Bigfoot. Why do they just show themselves to like Republican hunters that want to shoot them in the face? I've never seen a Bigfoot, but I've seen other weird stuff though. So you would think. I know Kwani says you have to be unconditional love. I think I'm that sometimes, but I'm a Capricorn with a weird Rob Zombie heavy metal Darth Vader side sometimes. So maybe they don't like that. I don't know. But,
Yeah.
but I know
I
there's
just sent those to you,
unconditional
Jeff.
love.
I just
Okay.
sent those photos. Well, the thing with the dog man, and I don't know if there's a stigma because what they would tell me was, well, I just gave you this Sasquatch report. Now I'm going to tell you something really weird.
Okay.
Okay, so you just gave me a report about a creature that doesn't exist. Now you're going to give me something really weird. Okay,
So it's another level. It's like a higher.
Bring it on, Big Daddy. And then I'd get this report about a dog man. And one of my habituation witnesses, he has them on his property. He has seen them with a backward bent leg, but he described it. And so I just sent you that photo.
I'm going to try to put it up.
They're the same photo. One's color and one's, I switched to black and white to try to get more detail. Didn't really get much.
Just happened. You know how to put stuff up. Wild trees, for some reason I'm having trouble. Let me send them to you. Let me send them to you.
I don't think I can right now because I'm not on a PC. I'm just on my iPhone.
Let me see. I'll figure it out. Hold on.
Okay, but it's just odd that but these people were sincere is all get out, and they were just like mystified. So this photo that I just sent, I went out there to talk to this guy, and he thought at first it was Bigfoot, and by the time he kind of talked around town, everybody thought, well, it sounded like a Bigfoot to me. That dogman wasn't even in the picture. So, but I got out there and talked to him. And his daughter had taken the photo and she believed it to be evil. And so she moved out of the house immediately as soon as the photo was developed and never came back. Now, the photo that I'm showing is a picture of a picture because they were not technologically up to speed. So I had to take a picture of a picture because they didn't have it like on an SD card or email, electronic format. I'd take a picture of a picture. I set the picture on the front seat of my car and took a picture of it. So it's the best I could do. But anyway, it ain't a Sasquatch. And the daughter said this thing had been going outside and tearing into this locust tree, just breaking branches off, peeling bark, and just attacking these locust trees. Locust trees have these big thorns,
Yeah.
And so it had been tearing this tree up, and she got tired of it, but she never saw it. She only heard it. So she said, well, screw this. I'm going to go out there and get my camera. So she went out there with a camera, 2:00 in the morning. She hears noise, but she sees the tree being shaken and branches kind of flying off and falling to the ground, but she doesn't see anything there. So she picks up her camera, takes the photo, and as soon as she snaps it, or she's about to, this creature materializes, gets its arm or some appendage caught in the strap of the camera and pulls it just enough so it's just a little blurry. But are you able to pull it up?
For some reason, it keeps saying invalid file type. I don't know why the hell it's saying.
Well, because they don't believe in dogman.
It's JPG. So I'm like, what's the deal, man?
It could be the dogman didn't want us to see it.
I'm trying, but for some reason, JPG is not. You would think that would be okay. So
that's all I sent you today was JPEG. Everything I sent you was JPEG.
It just keeps saying invalid file type. Let me see if I can figure it out. Y'all keep talking, and I'll see if I can do it.
So one of your ideas is that people were too embarrassed or just not reporting the accounts of dogmen, and that's why they were.
And I think there was a mistaken identity. You may have seen a Sasquatch and it was a dogman. You may have seen a dogman and it was a Sasquatch.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
a hair-covered being on two legs. It's bipedal, and it's got two arms, two legs, and it walks like a person, give or take. And so there could have been just mistaken identity until, but it's just like the Sasquatch thing and some of the paranormal things. You first get the road crossings, which are absolutely 50% of every Sasquatch sighting is a road crossing.
Right.
And they're valuable and they're great. And for those who have never seen one, it's awesome. But, well, let me see. I can pull the picture up and let me see. I'll just show it to you in here.
Okay,
And I can do it that way.
I done made such a mess with this thing. Like I've opened up some page that has coding.
And I don't know if you can
my
see.
browser. Yeah. Wait, let's see. Solo. Wait, hold on. There we go. There we go, baby. We can see them now. I enlarged you.
There we go.
Never say that again. Here we go. Solo out.
So there you go. So what do you do with that? These people are devout Christians. The wife would not even come anywhere near me. She wouldn't talk to us. She had like a pack of, she had a gaggle of ducks that followed her everywhere. She kept her distance, wouldn't talk to us, didn't want anything to do with us. And they all thought this was satanic and evil. And so the daughter moved out of the house within a month after that and never came back to the house. She's visited, but she'll never live there again. Very, very devout Christian. So they thought this was satanic and the devil. So anyway, that's the best I got. Of course, it's actually better than a lot of the photos I see, but they're still not that great, but it's a picture of a picture.
Have you heard anything about Bigfoot and them interacting? I always heard that they might fight them, or I don't know. Have you ever heard
I'm hearing they might travel in pairs to hunt together.
Possible.
I mean, listen, dog man, this is my territory, but let's hunt this together. We can kind of clean this area up here. You just got to put up with the stupid humans. But other than that, let's just share the wealth here. Let's kill a couple of deer and maybe a cow, and call it all good. We'll share it. So
yeah, it's not unheard of. I think it's coyotes and badgers that have been known to hunt together. So it's not.
There are pack animals that do work together, and I think the Sasquatch and the coyotes have a symbiotic relationship where they are scarfing up each other's kill. If the coyotes get something, bring something down, then the Sasquatch shows up after they've had their feed and they take the rest. Or if the Sasquatch knock a deer out and rip its hind legs off, take the meat home, what's left, coyotes get the carcass. Everybody's happy. So you hear that a lot, and it seems to make sense. And you hear a lot of the Sasquatch calls are hidden and disguised within the coyote packs going back and forth. And suddenly you hear this coyote call that's considerably louder than all the others. Well, it's not a coyote; it's a Sasquatch disguising its communications with the pack animal. I've heard that enough to know that's probably a real thing. So
something else.
What do you do? A photo like that. What do you when you see that? Of course, it's average at best. What do you do with that? It looks to her, this thing was morphing into whatever it was going to end up. She didn't hang around to find out. She took the one photo and I'm out of here. She threw it in a drawer and forgot about it for like 3 or 4 years. She moved out and they forgot it was there, and they were going through her stuff, and let's take this up to Walmart. So they took the whole camera up there. They didn't realize it was a film camera, no SD card. It was film.
Oh.
So they took it up there and took the roll, and that's the only photo of that nature they got. And they took it home, and he shows it to everybody that comes up there, but that's all he's got. So I have to take a picture of a picture. And stuff like this is going on in America all over the place, and people just aren't talking because there's a stigma about seeing a Sasquatch, whether it's paranormal, esoteric, quantum, or a dumb ape, carrying a deer off into the woods. People just won't talk about it because there's a stigma about seeing that stuff. It's bizarre. That's the way we are. You humans are terrible. We ridicule, kill, maim things we don't understand, things we don't agree with. Just look at us with race and politics and all the other stuff we do to one another. I mean, it's a nasty world. We're feeding on it. We're feeding on each other, and we're feeding on the frenzy. Some of us kind of like watching that. We like the mayhem. Look at the election. And the Proud Boys and all that stuff, they're hero worship, and they're hated and they're loved and revered, and the whole everything's a mess. To me, Sasquatch is the only sane thing going on right now for me, which doesn't make sense. But you know what I mean? It's a known entity, and they don't want anything other than peace. Right. They don't.
Yeah,
want
I often think about like these paranormal things like ghosts, aliens, abductions, and Bigfoot. And a lot of people might be scared by them, but then I start thinking about it critically, and I'm like, well, I've never heard of these paranormal animals or creatures doing anything worse or anything even close to what humans do to other humans. Yeah. So to put it in perspective, humans are, to me, the scariest wild animal or living thing that I'm scared of. It's not a tiger, it's not abduction, it's just another person. That's what I'm not all people, of course, but certain people.
Yeah. I'm only scared of my ex-wife and the guy that has his finger on the nuclear button.
Yeah.
Those are the only two things I'm worried about.
It's definitely crazy.
I had to throw that in. I had to get a shot in.
Yeah.
But seriously, like you said, humans are the worst thing on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's really sad. It's my own species, but what can I say? I can't lie. I can't lie about it.
Yeah.
So what's the end game with them trying to have contact with us? It always seems like it's like having contact with the Riddler. When's it going to get to like a sit down level or something, face to face or something?
I don't think we're there. I don't think we're there yet. I think they still got a lot of more people to convince and to interact with. That's why the habituation, the next book I'm working on, if I actually get it finished, is just going to be habituation only. And these people are hearing conversations,
raising consciousness
exactly. We're not to the point yet where they even want to be in the same room.
And it's creepy that UFO of God book and the ties in the Skinwalker Ranch and that guy, they're all trying to get us out there. On that book, Colonel John Alexander says you can be one of us or something in the blurb. It's like they're trying to get us out there. Somehow, maybe, I guess it's going to break down a wall that helps us, I hope, and they're not trying to get us out there to kidnap us to government labs and make us on some weird X-Men team. But there's something going on with it, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, there is. I just don't want to be the first. I want to read about Jeffrey Pritchett. Oh, that poor guy. He went out there. Oh, good God. He's got 14 legs and 3 heads.
Mine will just be like, I vanished. And y'all think someone killed me or took me to an underground lab, but I really went through a portal and just left.
Well, there. Take me with you. If that's the case, take me with you. Take me and my wife with me. And your fiance. Let's just get a little party together.
What gets real creepy, and I don't know if you've had any research for this, is the Skinwalker stuff where they had some episodes where the Navajo guy from the police, John Dover or whatever, was involved, and they went to a house that a whole family left, a Navajo house, that because the Skinwalkers showed up there. They said they sound like horses outside, and the family just left the house behind. And then the investigators from Beyond Skinwalker Ranch went there with that Navajo police dude, and they had a bunch of stuff happen, but the lady said that the light shined on them, made the Skinwalkers leave, and then the Navajo Nation gave her a new house. But what's creepy, it sounds like from the Navajo lore that you have to whack someone that you love in your family to join these things, and then you kind of like go off with them and get powers, and it's really creepy. What the hell are they? Like, it's like they're almost like human, but not. Like weird. Like it reminds me of that movie, The Witch, where they're all like floating around naked with their powers at the end of it and stuff. Like there's some weird, or Willow Creek.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to have to do harm to someone to be a part of something.
Yeah, that's just a bad start.
That's where I would draw the line.
That's a bad start.
Yeah,
and I've heard that part of it from J.C. Johnson. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he passed away from pneumonia, but was a cryptozoologist. I've heard that weird story. It's a creepy thing. Like maybe the elders shouldn't have told anyone you need to do that to become one or whatever. But
Yeah. Well, some people will sell their soul to become
yeah,
all powerful or all knowing, and I don't want anything that bad.
no. And
I
who
just
What's
want
the
wants
to
to know?
know.
same?
I want to know what we're talking about right now, just in case there is no afterlife, because I want to know it in this life. Because just in case this promise of an afterlife is just some really bad joke, so you can get taxed until you die. Uh, if I just want to know now.
I don't
It's
want to
just
be
only fair. I want to tell the
yeah.
world.
I don't
The
want to be
world.
a witch caveman in a loincloth. I already have problems. I can barely go to the mailbox. It's so hot in Florida, let alone being in a loincloth in the desert.
Mhm.
Being a skinwalker.
I wouldn't
I
want to
couldn't
see it in a
do it.
loincloth, Jeff. No offense. I
There's
just
no, yeah, me neither. There's no there's
no,
no PS5 either.
you wouldn't want to see me, man. I've got white legs and they're about like I don't cut a good photo.
Things of terror.
Yeah, well, that's terror right there. Seeing me in a loincloth, on a windy day.
But it's definitely there's something about the unconditional love, though. Do you think that's a part of it? That's they come to people much more in that kind of a state of grace.
Yeah, yeah. We mean no harm. We want nothing from you. We want you to take care of your loved ones. We want you to take care of the planet, take care of the animals, and just be good like you're supposed to be. I mean, I think it's just so altruistic. It sounds like some little, stupid fairy tale movie, on, the Hallmark Channel or something. But
Something just said in my head, "Don't want to give you a heart attack." It was like almost like a caveman kind of. Don't want to give you a heart. That could be one. That's maybe one big reason why they just don't do it. It might scare
yeah,
the crap out of you.
yeah. But it's food for thought. All the stuff we've talked about, it's just food for thought, and it's, you know, if they were here to kill and maim and just take us over, they'd do it. They could rip us to shreds. They don't do it in their nature. Why would I kill randomly for the thrill of it like humans do? We don't do that. We are here for another purpose. We can kill anybody we want. Why would we? Because we know we can. So what? We kill because we can. Look at my new 50 caliber Winchester. I'm gonna get me a bear from 200 yards. Wow, let's go, Bob. Let's go do that. I mean, so that's not their thing, and that's what we've become. We become king of the planet, ruler of the planet, by violence, takeover, intimidation, laws, whatever you want to look at. Man taking over the planet, not done a good job. Not done a good.
Right now, I mean, it really is terrifying. It's like we are in a dystopian society, just trying to pretend we're normal right now. That's what it feels like. While everything's on fire, we're just struggling to make everything feel normal. Like we're trying to pretend it is.
Hopefully, it's not too late. I hope it's not too late for that stuff.
Well, I said last time I was here with Jeffrey, I was talking about how. Well, I mentioned a couple of things, and I talk about the same things, but I think it's so interesting. One thing is that we've had several major extinctions on this planet. So I'm talking, there's been a lot of times where almost all the life, like 99% of the life, has just died completely, and it comes back. The good news is it comes back. The bad news takes about 30 to 100 million years, but it does come back. Mm-hmm. Now, what's funny is that, to me, like if something like a mass extinction, if it happens one time, it's an accident. 2 times, it's a coincidence. Once you start going to 3 or 4 times, I think it's built into the planet. Mass extinctions happen.
Planned. It's a planned event.
Yeah.
It may be a cleansing that has to happen.
Yeah, it could be part of a cycle. We go through cycles all the time, and that could be part of the cycle of the planet. It could happen on all planets, mass extinctions. Now, that's one thing that's interesting, is that I don't think people realize how sensitive we are as humans. Like, we could have a mass extinction. It's not a rare event.
We are having it, aren't we? Pretty much.
We are having, yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not that crazy to think that humans can become extinct, or at least knocked down a lot. The other thing is that as far as the environment, I really don't think as a biologist, I don't think we've crossed a red line where there's no going back as far as the environment. I think we could still turn it around. Now, being a realistic person, I don't think we're going to turn it around. I think what's going to happen, the funny thing is,
Did you freeze? You look like you're kissing.
Somebody doesn't want us to hear this.
But he'll come back. Hopefully,
Yeah,
We'll see
he will.
what happens. But it's interesting how the missing 411 stuff, how they tie all that in there. What just I just heard a bloop. Are you there? I just heard a there. He's in another reality. Like there's two of him. Look, what in the world? It's a parallel. Like he's stuck in one reality, kissing the camera, the camera, and then he's alive in the other reality. Can you see that? You're frozen in one.
I just see a black. I see a black on one side and on the
Oh.
other side.
No, you're like it. You're in mid blink. It's like the good angel, bad angel.
There it goes.
There we go.
Okay, I'll just finish my thought. I was just going to say that to me, it's funny with the environment because what's really funny to me is that we're going to have to change no matter what. So we could either change proactively and prevent a lot of suffering and fix the planet. That's one option. And yeah, it's a big change. Or what I think is going to happen is that we're not going to change before things are going to get really bad, and then we're going to be forced to change our lives because the environment is so bad. So to me, I think it's funny that we're going to change. We're going to have to change regardless. But there's one option where we can save things and suffer less. But I just don't see as a realistic. Just trying to be realistic, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the second's going to happen. I think the planet, we're just going to run it to the ground, and we're going to be forced to adapt and change everything about our life, and it's going to be worse.
It's hotter, right? I mean, it seems so hot outside. Like I'm like, how do humans come outside now? Go underground. It's so hot out there. It's like in Florida, it feels like you're not even supposed to be out there. Like it's like the heat lamp's too strong for the lizards in the aquarium. Like you feel like you're on fire out there. And then mosquitoes have got me. They're like waiting for you out there. It's made me sick a few times. Like it seems like it's getting hotter. And from what I saw,
it's interesting. Today, before this, I went for a walk at a park. It's a community park. And in the middle, there's a big man-made pond, And here where I'm at in Texas, it's a drought condition. So there's mandatory, like you can't mow your lawn. There's mandatory water conservation techniques. So what I saw was really interesting. I was at the park, and there's usually this really big pond full of water. But it was I'd never seen it so dry. It was so dry. There was only a little water in the middle. But not only that, I counted about 55 water birds there. I always forget what species, but those tall birds that really tall. Which one?
Cranes or egrets?
Yeah, probably cranes or egrets. Yeah, but I had never seen so many. There was 50 of them, and that's telling me that the reason why they're there is because it is a drought condition here, and that's probably the most water there is, and they're struggling as well, and that's gonna be, Yeah,
it's sad. It's sad. Yeah, those in power want more power no matter what damage it does to the planet or to humanity in general or the animals, because that quest for power and money and control is insatiable, so they will let the planet go to hell to a large degree before, okay, well, let's do something. I've got my 16 million in the bank. Okay, that's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's insane.
How much more time do we have?
We end at 5 till.
5 till. Not to change. This is a great subject. Pull that photo of that face up. I sent you a photo of a face.
Let me see. Let me find it.
It's on the. It's on a piece of clear plastic on a greenhouse. I have to show this to you because this is one of my habituation families.
Oh no. Okay. Is it the one that's like a water drops?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll. Let's see. Let me figure out how to do this. For some reason, JPG. I don't understand why that doesn't work on this. Like I thought I've used JPG on this before. Let me see. JPG. There it is. I just got to figure out how to share screen. Present. Share screen. Yeah, it's probably better. Hold on, just to do it that way. Let me. I can enlarge you.
Okay.
Oh, quit saying that. Let me see. Solo
I've got a
layout.
prescription. I can enlarge myself. Thank you.
I know, right? Mercury retrograde. Quit that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. We got it.
You got it?
Yep. You got the whole screen. You're showing it. The whole screen. We're not even there anymore. It's just you and the picture. Everybody can see it.
What do you see when you see that?
You can almost see his eyes. You can almost see hair.
You see hair. You see hair coming out of the forehead. That I have a habituation family, and they grow their own vegetables and they sell them at farmers markets. So they have these 3 really big greenhouses. They're look like the big Quonset huts. You got the heavy sheet plastic you drape over the bars. And so they were getting something that was coming in and stealing their food at first. Even though they knew they had Sasquatch living on their property, they thought their neighbors were stealing some of the food. So anyway, the condensation you see is from propane heaters that are funneling hot air in during the winter so the food doesn't freeze. And so this is a juvenile Sasquatch that they got on the trail camera.
It's a good one.
The creature is, that picture is taken from outside the greenhouse looking in. The creature is inside. Now that's just a face print. He's not physically there. He is inside, pressing his face to the plastic, looking for the humans so he can haul ass and get out of there after he's eaten his food. You can see the eyes, you can see the mouth, you can see the hair, the mustache. You know, you can see the hair growing. I mean, it's like
there's condensation on there, water, right? Yes.
Yeah, it's got its face up against a plastic bag. It's like you put your face up against a shower curtain. It's the same principle. But that picture is from the outside looking in, and that creature is inside looking out. So when he discovered that the Sasquatch were letting themselves in and stealing the food, sometimes eating it and falling asleep and laying on the ground, and you could see the impression on the ground when they got out there in the morning. But one night, the emotion lights went on. He said, "Oh, God, I'm going to catch whoever that is. I'm going out there." So he had his camera phone, and as soon as he goes out the front door of his house, he hears this unbelievable scream, this blood-curdling scream coming out of the woods to the right behind the greenhouse. As he gets about halfway there, he hears another blood-curdling scream coming from the other side of the property towards the house. It's a Sasquatch. I mean, it's Sasquatch screaming. As he's approaching the greenhouse, he hears this scream coming from inside. It's the juvenile. He got his butt caught in there. He opens the door, and the Sasquatch runs right by him. They brush.
Dang.
He could have kissed him. I mean, he was that close. It brushed up against his body. All he was concerned with was getting out of there.
What kind of food was it? What kind of food? What kind of food was it? What were they?
What they were eating at that time was the tops off of radishes and strawberries. The food they've switched to is eggplant. They suddenly love eggplant. So they're eating up. Of course, that's a food you don't get. You don't get strawberries virtually never in the wild. They do grow wild, but you know. But radishes and eggplant, you don't find that just laying around. Yeah. So they that was their favorite food. So they've made kind of a deal. You quit stealing our food, you can have X amount, but you can't. But anyway, so that's beside the point. The thing ran right by him, and it brushed up against him. I mean, what the heck, you know? And so I sent you a couple other pictures. One of them's got the handprint. You can see the handprint on the inside next to the door, and that's where it's putting his hand up, looking around for the humans. And let me see if I can find that. I'll probably get
in that show, Reservation Dogs. There's like an alien native shaman guy that grows eggplants. For some reason, I was thinking about that episode, like that show, Reservation Dogs.
So there's the handprint. It's next to the door. And the creature's about 6.5, 7 foot tall. It's not a full-grown boy. And so he put his hands up, look around, no humans. And I've got 4 or 5 other photos with about 3 or 4 faces in the one photo, which means there's a handful of them. It's either a handful or just one or two that have made several different face prints. Can't tell. Some of them are much bigger than the others, but it could be juveniles and then infants, or it could be I just got a partial face. He sent me several of those. They're not near as clear as that one face I sent you, but that's the kind of stuff I'm getting. I mean, and these people are living with these beings and interacting with them on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. They watch them working in the yard. They watched them bury a cat. When I was out there the last time, the mother cat died. And so they buried the cat. 2 days later, they pulled the tops off of some turnip greens, and that was laid on the grave as a sign of respect for your pet, because they want you to treat your animals properly. They don't want you to hunt recreationally, cut a head off and put it on the wall. What kind of stupid stuff is that? Why do you humans do that? You know, it goes back too far to try to explain that one away. But you know what I mean? So they worshipped the dead cat by putting turnip green tops on top of the grave, a pile of rocks.
A gift.
And that picture's in the book. Of course, they could stage that, but I know these people. They're God-fearing people. They're not the kind to do that. I've had a couple of people try to pull stuff on me, so I'm pretty good about sniffing that stuff out. You know how you can interview people. You can ask somebody a question 4 different ways, and they'll never know you're asking them the same question. You know, but you can get different answers, and that tells you, you know, your alarm bells go off. So these people are just good, simple, down-to-earth, God-fearing people. They want nothing else than to live their lives and have a great time, and they're interacting with these Sasquatch. It's fascinating as heck to them. And you know, there's 3 family members living within a mile of each other in this area, and I've known the uncle and the grandfather who I met 10 years ago. They all had Class A sightings. I've had them published in the BFRO. I mean, they attract. I've been out squatching with them. They attract Sasquatch. These Sasquatch follow them around. They hunt the same area, and they're there when they're there, because they're going to get whatever kill they don't want, can't do. They're going to take the guts of the hogs and the deer they gut and put the gut piles out. That's the stuff they like. That's the real high protein stuff, not the meat. They love that high protein stuff. They love all the guts and the intestines, heart, liver, kidneys. They love all that stuff. They love that stuff. And so
what's going on with people that leave gifts of food for Bigfoot? Is it just straightforward? Is it just Bigfoot loves to get food and that's all that's going there? Or is there something deeper going on there?
Well, it's really Sasquatch love human food they cannot get in the wild.
Okay.
You know, pies, and you know,
Yes.
and we try to encourage you not to leave sugar, because they don't have a dental plan, I don't think.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? So we don't want to give them stuff, but the thing is, they get hooked on that stuff. You give them a rotisserie chicken leftovers, and you throw it out there. They get used to that, and they want it on a regular basis. Some people do that. So you try to give them stuff that can be found naturally. Every now and then, throw out, you know, some rhubarb pie or eggplant or peanut butter. They love Payday candy bars. They love the peanuts, and they love those candy bars. You can tell when a Sasquatch got to it versus a coon or a possum is that the wrapper is actually torn open, opposable thumbs. It's not like, you know,
Right.
They tear it open, and they leave the wrapper behind and eat the candy.
Do they like weed? Heard any weed stories?
Weed stories? No. Weed's too valuable. You know, I wouldn't give my gummies.
Yeah. I wonder if they steal it from
Well, they
the
might.
growers.
You know,
Yeah.
I think the pot grows wild, and if they know the medicinal purposes and being with the Native Americans over centuries and centuries, you know, they smoke pot, and so I'm sure they know the medical benefits of that weed. You know, whether they partake or not, I wouldn't. I'd love to sit around a campfire one night, you know, and share a pipe. You know, what is it? Well, this is Sensimilla. No good, not Sensimilla.
I'm sure they got peace pipes.
It's Gorilla Glue. pop, good stuff. You know. Yeah.
Definitely
I'm
fascinating.
making fun, but I mean, those conversations could
It's
take
tribal.
place. We just don't know. Yeah,
It's
it's a tribal
tribal.
thing. Let's bond. But so with people that gift food, I as a researcher, I try to discourage a regular rotation of really good human food like steaks, T-bones, and pork chops and stuff, because they love that and they want that again and again. And so they start banging on the house and tearing stuff up because they don't get the food. So
Oh,
you should do that sparingly.
okay.
Did
But
you
it's a
see-
bonding thing. It is a bonding thing.
Did you see the last Reservation Dogs? Have you seen that show on Hulu with the native show? That's by the guys that do What We Do in the Shadows, but it's a native show called Reservation Dogs. It just had Bigfoot on it, but it has a lot of cool native stars. Like, was it Wes Studi, the guy from Last of the Mohicans? He was in the last episode. It's got a lot of. It's called Reservation Dogs, but it's really good. They had Bigfoot in it. They have Bigfoot in it quite often.
You give me some stuff. You gave me some homework now. So Reservation Dogs.
Reservation Dogs. Have you seen Dark Winds? That's another good native show based on Tony Hillerman novels. That's on AMC. Dark Winds. That's doing pretty good.
No.
What's interesting about Dark Winds is it's got the paranormal aspect, and it's the Tony Hillerman novels where the detective and like paranormal native stuff happens to him. But Robert Redford and George Martin, the Game of Thrones author, are doing that show, Dark Winds. So that's a good one.
Huh? No.
I like it.
I just want to butt in. I think I'm unfortunately have to leave early because my phone is about to die. I didn't realize it was going to use so much battery being broadcasting, but it was great meeting you, Carter. And
You
Jeffrey,
too. This is really heady stuff, actually.
And Wild Trees, if you want to sit in that show Friday, let me know. Jay will be here, so you don't have to. But if for some reason that Skinwalker Ranch show, if you're not busy and you want to, let me know.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah. And Carter, I'd love to have you on my own channel. I also interview people. And for anybody listening or watching this in the future, please subscribe to my channel. It's youtube.com/@biologistwildtrees. Or you just go to Google, you just type in Biologist Wild Trees, my channel will come up.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks.
Well, you can find me on Facebook. My email is sqexplorer@gmail.com.
Okay.
So you can email me and contact me that way. Or
this is like his 4th or 5th appearance or something. I've lost count. It's like up there.
Yeah, I think this might be number
4 or 5. 4, I think. What? Let's get your link, Carter, for everybody again too.
I'll see you guys.
All right, take care, man.
Bye.
My webpage is sqexplorer.com. Pretty easy. sqexplorer.com. You can order the books from there. I'm selling all 3 books for $50. They're all autographed. They're real nice books, And you can also, as soon as you send me a link, I'll put this podcast on the website. I've got about 50 or 60 podcasts on there. You can just download and listen at your heart's content. If anybody's interested in listening to past, and some of your stuff's on there.
Thanks. Yeah. And
but that's how you get a hold of me.
And it's definitely always great having you on the show, and I appreciate it so much. And that guy that's from New Zealand, I always have trouble saying his name, Takahiti Wakahiti. He did that Thor, Love and Thunder and stuff, but he did Reservation Dogs. And there's also another show on Hulu, What We Do in the Shadows. And that's a good one to write down. What We Do in the Shadows. It's a funny vampire show about all these vampires that live together, but there's a movie that's got great reviews called What We Do in the Shadows, and it's spun off a funny vampire show on Hulu. And then there's Reservation Dogs. There's another one, Wellington Paranormal, that's connected to those shows, but it's kind of like, imagine a raunchier Addams Family. That's the best way to describe it, but it's cool. Really good.
Well, that's up my alley, absolutely.
Yeah, there's an energy vampire in it named Colin Robinson that's like a nerd that looks like me with glasses, but he's a psychic vampire, and he lives in the house with like the creepy Vlad vampire and the other vampire. Like, it's really good. It's funny.
My wife and I watch a lot of that kind of stuff. We like the vampy stuff,
You'll love that. It's on Hulu, that one. And then look for the movie. I don't think the movie's on Hulu. The movie may be kind of hard to find, but the movie's hilarious. That's what spawned it all. But yeah, it's always great. I'm getting the craziest lineup for Halloween. I got a guy doing a whole show on Edgar Allan Poe's death. And I got Stephen Flowers that's wrote this book, Gothic Meditations at Midnight, where he's like deciphering Nosferatu, the occult stuff, and all these like silent horror movies. And then a big one, a guy named Michael Aliosa. He runs Dark Ink Publishing. He puts out books with Kane Hodder, like biographies about the guy that plays Jason, in Friday the 13th, and books about Gunnar Hansen, the dude that played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But he's my Halloween show, so we're going to talk about the real life of like those dudes that play the real icons, so that's going to be good. Got to get crazy for October, so I'm doing it, no doubt. But man, it's been great. We appreciate it so much, and thanks so much, man.
I enjoyed it. Hey, send me the link when you can. I'll spread the word. I'll just put this all over the place.
I definitely will.
I like the crew you had here. This is good guys.
Thank you. Jay's been having to work, so these guys have been, and they have their own shows, but it works out, and it's definitely, it's been good. I like the energy, and Wham's still with us, and she does a great job. She does 3 shows, and then I rotate it. Yeah. But it's been great. Man, it's been a long summer, and financial crappy stress. It's just been, hopefully my brother lost his job, so we've been dealing with that. It's just
that sucks.
Yeah, I'll be
it's tough, man. You got to watch every nickel. You got to watch every move you make. I mean, it's just
crazy. It's everything's going up, and food, and
I just said something the other day. I spent $50 on something I used to spend 20 for, just like not even a month ago.
It's like Ragnarok. It's Ragnarok.
Yeah, it is getting bizarre, but
definitely crazy.
I'm glad I'm at the end of my life, so I don't have that much longer to put up with this crap.
And then is Loki gonna come and make all the Nephilim giants rise? That's what I'm worried about. Then they're gonna eat us. So, but luckily they'll save us because we're friends with them. So you are more than I am probably. The aliens like me for some reason.
They like me too.
Yeah. But we appreciate it so much. Thanks, Carter. And thanks, everybody, for listening. You're listening to United Public Radio, 107.7 FM, New Orleans. Everybody have a good weekend. Good night, everybody.
Good night. See you, Jeff.
Take care. Thanks, man. Let's see here. And I'm supposed to play something. I'm trying to find it. Let me find it. Banners. I get lost. All this stuff. Joe's coming up. I don't know if Joe's coming up next or not. There it is.
Looking for stories that are fresh and new? Dark fantasy, humor, space exploration, time travel, cyberpunk, alternate history, and more. They're in the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future anthology. From 24 award-winning authors and illustrators, plus art and writing tips and bonus stories. L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future. Buy your copy at galaxypress.com, Amazon, or wherever books are sold.